due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth as a result of the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Roll call taken. So I see I have Kim and Dan as guests. I have Maroli, Jean Davern, Micah Mandelier, Norm, and Nick. Is anybody else on there? Whose phone number is 735-1140?
Hello?
Who's that?
It's Michelle Stanley.
Who's it?
Michelle Stanford.
Michelle Stanley, okay.
Stanford.
Michelle Stanford from the town crier.
Okay. And whose number is 508-735-1140?
I'm sorry, that's my number. That's
Who's
Michelle
mine?
Stanford.
Oh. Okay, who's 473-1305?
That's me calling in on a voice line because.
Oh, okay.
So it's me, Mike.
Okay. Okay, then. So, okay, I have everybody.
Okay. So let's, what I'd like to do is walk through the articles. I think everybody should be able to see them fine. If you want to walk us through them, Kim, and then we can answer any questions. But what I prefer to do is walk through, answer any questions as we go through these, and then just vote on them, as the recommendations that we record as we go through. If there are any, for some reason, that we're going to recommend negative, I just need to document it. And then, and actually, what we're talking about, Article 4, obviously, is the budget. I have that in the final form. We do have our budget hearing scheduled for next Wednesday. So I don't think we're going to have time to go through it tonight. We may want to probably would make sense to either meet early or even better, if everybody's available, either Monday or Tuesday to go through it once, specifically because Kim and I attended a budget subcommittee meeting for the school on Monday, and there is a possibility that they are changing their ask. So we may have to take another vote to recommend or not recommend what they want as part of the budget and as this Prop 2.5 override. So we may need to consider that. So again, I would skip over Article 4 right now because that's the budget. So let's just plan on going through all the others, but the budget, and then understanding some of these articles are ones we would normally do in the fall, but since last fall we didn't have free cash certified, we're doing them now. So why don't we start at the top, Kim, and just walk through. Oh, you're muted.
Okay. As I mentioned last week, we did some reorganizing of the warrant, so it might look a little bit different this year as it does the previous years, but we were trying to get all the the articles of most interest up near the top for COVID's sake, and hopefully having a quick meeting, and then the rest of it is consent calendar towards the end. So I'll just go through. Do you want me to go through the entire warrant or just the FinCom articles?
I think if you just look at the document I have shared,
okay.
We just go through the first 4 and then we jump to 15. So these are just the FinCom articles that we need to make a recommendation on, not the whole.
So Article 1 is the article that says that if you're going to change the amount of money from somewhere in the budget, you need to have a funding source. That's the out of order article. Article 2 is elected officials. Article 3 is bills of a prior year. There's about $2,600 worth. Mike, you have the detail on that. Looks like some paper, but WB Mason bills, some outstanding stuff.
Yeah, I
Or-
have,
yeah.
I could pull it up, but $172 for well, actually, there's a few WB Mason. Let me see if I can find it, but these are all, it looks like there's a WB Mason, Global Montello Group, and it basically, it's all WB Mason, $172, $165, $209, $193, $140, $71, $139, and then in the total, but the total is $2,595.14. And again, these are all from going back as far as the beginning of the last fiscal year, fiscal 20. Want me to pull them up?
No, why are they bills of a prior year if there's so many? What's the explanation of why they weren't getting paid or why we didn't get them?
They most likely just came in beyond the funding date of July 15th.
Of last year?
Yes. We would have done these in the fall, but we removed everything from the fall meeting.
Yeah, these, again, I see a date going back as far as March 23rd, 2019, which would have been
Right.
the beginning of FY 2020. And we would have paid those in the fall of 2020. And we didn't have any free cash, and we didn't, so they get kicked till now. Does anybody have any other questions?
Okay, so funding source on that, free cash. Okay,
So just
so
on clarification, these are bills that haven't been paid,
yes,
and are we incurring interest on?
usually we can work with the vendor in order to explain the situation, and it's usually only till the fall. Most of them, because they want to retain our contracts with them or whatever, usually let it slide. You know, we have some trouble sometimes if it's like trash bill, a large bill, you know, then we have to try to make some kind of creative arrangement, but that wasn't the case with these.
Okay.
Happens fairly often. Like I said, we only have flexibility into the 15th day of the next fiscal year. So if you've got something that they don't send by June 30th and it comes in, you know, July 18th, now we're holding it till November. So it's a little bit tricky. Mike, before we go on to this, I just want to remind people as we're starting to spend money on the funding sources. That's important to know as we're going through. Just one more time. I know I talked about this last week, but basically this is what we have. What's most important for us to pay attention to is this free cash and this FinCom reserve, these two bottom lines. This is basically the funding that we have available here to spend. So we've got 562 in free cash and about 45 in FinCom reserve, okay? 113 in OPEB. We're not spending those, but we're putting the money in. That's just so you know. So that this bills of a prior year would come from this free cash amount.
Thank you.
Kim, this is Jack Hodgins. I apologize to you and to the chair and the rest of the committee for being late. Sorry.
That's okay. What time is it? It's right. Totally fine. Right.
I know I moved it up by a half hour than what we've been doing previously, just because I didn't want it to go too late. That's all.
Yeah, little water problem here on King Philip Path. Apologies.
Oh no.
Resolved now, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're only on to Article 4, and Article 4 is the budget. So we're not going to go through that now. Article 5 is, well, so then all the next 5 through 14 are all non-FinCom related articles. They're not expenditures, they're different ones. So Article 15 would be the next one for the FinCom, and that's the override for the school. Mike had mentioned that at the beginning. We did attend a meeting yesterday or the day before. I can't remember anymore. Right now, their current override for Mendon as it stands is about $809,000. There is some talk of them reducing their request, so our override amount would still be $460, I believe. But they haven't determined that yet.
The number
So,
I have written down
yeah.
is 426,000 and change.
Yeah. So,
And they claim that even that is still a 4.62% increase over last year. And that's with them, what they had planned in the original budget, with the 800,000 override, was to add 7 new positions, and they were actually going to eliminate 2 or 3 part-time or lesser positions. So what this number does is eliminate the 7 and reinstate the couple that they were going to replace or get rid of. So that's what they're talking about. And again, they have a meeting this coming Monday night for their full school committee. We're going to discuss it, but this was just a budget subcommittee.
And that's 400 plus over last year.
Correct. That would be, so what the select board has decided is they're going to level fund what we appropriated last year, including last year's override. So what they're saying is if they make this change, they'll be looking for essentially $427,000 over and above what we're funding, which, keep in mind, even with what we're level funding from last year, we're now, I believe it's 2% over, what the state says our contribution needs to be, which is a change from in the past. We were always behind the 8 ball. Now we're above it. So.
Got it.
I'm sorry, I just received a text from Alan Tatro. His father-in-law had passed away yesterday, so he can't be in attendance tonight. But anyways, just to get back to it, so that's the proposed change. So if we have a budget meeting next Tuesday night, just to go over the budget, we can discuss whatever the number is at that point. I think that's going to be important information for us as to what we're going to recommend. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, let's.
okay.
All right.
Article 16 is $20,000 for the tree warden's budget. I put free cash here. Originally, I had FinCom reserve. Honestly, it could be either at this point. That's up to you. Alan says he needs this funding for emergency work for the trees, so it does qualify for FinCom reserve, but that's your call.
Well, if it's going to be in the new year, we haven't put anything in there yet, right?
Right, and this is why this request is confusing. We didn't increase his budget for FY22. He didn't ask for a request there. He asked for this request to be added to the warrant with the articles. So technically he would get the money for this fiscal year and it wouldn't roll over unless we put it in as a special article, which we didn't. So it will give him $20,000 from May till July.
Right, but again, that's why I say that free cash is the cleanest place to get it from.
It's fine. And what he doesn't use will roll back into free cash in the future.
So, not FinCom reserve.
So that's not FinCom reserve.
It's right.
Just so that you know, I was going to object to that.
Object to what? That it was coming from?
Taking it out of FinCom reserve, it's not an unforeseen, if we're talking about it now, it's not an unforeseen expenditure.
And that's why we can read your mind. And
Like an open book.
that's it, brother.
All right. Article 17 is the pickup truck that Alan wants to buy. That's the one that's getting transferred over to the fire department, and so he's keeping that one. It's not one of the two big ones we talked about last week.
So this is the $60,000 one?
Yes.
I thought that there was some question about kind of this, that we were gonna get some further clarification. I realize Alan can't join us tonight, but.
Yeah, what, just to explain what, so this 60,000, what's going on is that there is a truck that, that Highway is using, that has a, it has a different body on it, and they still have the bed that they removed. So what they're gonna do is take the body off, put the body on this new truck, and then take the bed on the existing truck and give that to the fire department so that they can have that. Now, I think the real discussion that we needed was a question about, it's actually has to do with the leases and this brush hog / snow blower, but we're not there yet, so.
Mike, do you remember what the fire chief said his existing pickup truck needed? Had some body rot and there was some expense there?
Yeah, it was, his explanation was that it was very old and it was gonna cost more to fix it than what it was worth.
But I think he said it was like 2,500 for some body rot. I mean, I just,
That was part of it, right, was the
Yeah.
frame.
I mean, I just, because of the large expenses and purchases, I mean, it just still sounds to me like it's not a priority. I mean, that's my feeling. Unless, I can have some further explanation and some detail, because it just seems like we're spending a lot of money between the fire department and Alan this year.
Okay, so that's 17.
Are we going to vote on each article, Mike, as we go, or just at the end?
Well, if you know what, we're let's start with probably a better idea to do that. So we don't need to vote yet on 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
Or 15, because that's the override.
Well, no, you have to vote on 3. You have to recommend funding sources.
No, what I'm getting at, Kim, is that 1, 2, and 3. Well, okay. Let's do it this way. I'd be looking for a motion for Articles 1 and 2, which are just the procedural. So, can somebody give me a motion?
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Okay.
Who's second that, Jack?
yes.
Okay. I don't think we need any discussion. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike Amendolia, aye.
Jack, aye.
Nick, aye.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Nick.
Nick, aye.
Norm Round, aye.
Okay. So we have approval for 1 and 2. 3 is for the 2595.14 from free cash to pay for bills of a prior year. Do I have a motion to accept, to recommend
From free
that?
cash. Say from free cash, though.
Yeah, from free cash, yes, as it's written there.
This is Jack, I so move.
All right, do I have a second?
Who's second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Who's second?
All around
That was
second.
Norm.
All right. We've already discussed it. All those in favor?
Who's that? Second.
Nick, aye.
Nick or
Jack,
Norm?
aye.
Norm, aye.
Mike Mandelia, nay.
Whoops. Mike.
So how many is that? Did everybody vote?
So we only have 5 people at the meeting. Mike said no. So we got Norm, Nick, and Jack, and you.
Okay. So Norm, Nick, and Jack all said yes, is that correct? Okay,
Yep.
so that's approved by majority. So 4, we're gonna skip over for now. 15, we're gonna skip over for now because this is that's the override vote. So 16 is 20,000 from free cash to the tree warden budget. So do I have a motion to recommend 16?
So moved.
Who's that?
Nick,
Nick? Do I have a second?
Who's that? You have to tell me who you are because I can't hear you.
Second from Jack.
Okay.
Okay. We already discussed this. All those in favor?
Nick, aye.
Jack, aye.
Mike Mandelia, nay.
Norm, nay.
So it's a tie. Mike,
Yep. I'm gonna
you gotta break it.
I'm gonna recommend that we fund it, because I did talk to Alan, and it may have been poor planning, but we can't have branches falling in the street and trees falling over and not have a way to pick it up.
So no.
So that's 16. So now we're on 17. So again, what we're talking about is whether or not we recommend $60,000 for this new truck, whether we recommend to the people or not. So the question is, and again, if we can't get a motion in a second, then, we don't recommend it. So, for 17, which is $60,000, for the purchase of or lease of a truck with a plow for highway, the idea that we would take their current one and give it to the fire department. Do I have a motion to recommend this?
So moved. Mike Mandelia, so moved.
So Mike made a motion, yes. Do I have a second? Going once? Going twice? Okay, so 17, we're not going to recommend that.
Okay.
Understanding that we're not going to recommend it, and then Alan will have to get up and explain, or the chief will get up and explain, Okay, so 18 is, again, these are updated radios for the highway department, $40,000 for radios. I know that they do have something. I know cell phones don't work well in a lot of places in town, so they can't use their cell phones all the time. I don't know why they need new radios. I'm assuming that there's a good reason for it, but I don't know what it is. Do you have any more information, Kim?
I do not. All I have is what was submitted on the sheet that says our current radio system is totally outdated. We can no longer get parts. We are operating at a low band system, which is no longer used. We need an upgrade to high band with our current system. Our employees cannot communicate properly, which is putting their safety at risk.
Yeah, well, that's true. Low band is obsolete, and we used to have it on the repeater, but I know that they discontinued using that, meaning that the trucks could only communicate point to point. And if they can't get parts anymore, then the radios don't work, and it's an issue. So, do I have a motion to recommend Article 18?
So moved. Mike Mandelia.
Okay, do I have a second?
Jack, second.
Okay, so we have Motion, it's been seconded. All those in favor? I'm assuming you two that made the motion are in favor. So it's just Norm and Nick, how you two feel.
Norm Round, aye.
Nick?
Nick, nay.
Okay, so it's by majority you recommend.
Nick said no.
Yep.
Okay, so Article 19, Kim?
Okay. This is $125,000 for the town hall. It's funding, it's mostly painting of the outside of the town hall needs to be scraped and repainted, but it's also lot improvements and drainage improvements, post taking down to the police station, and then reconstructing the space that we need between the two buildings.
Okay, now, I recall that there was going to be other monies available
Correct.
to do this.
There are. In fact, we had applied for a grant that we did not get last year. This will not cover the entirety of the campus project. The entire campus project, which already has some funding attached to it, will cover eventually the raising of that building, whatever it is, sustainable drainage in the back on the slope. We also have to, as you know, we have to put the well in, so we're going to have to do some shifting of where that's going to go on the campus, hopefully in front of the back corner, and then also doing trees and plantings, stuff in between the two buildings when we are now, so we can reroute when we reroute the exit. But that's all the campus project. This in particular is going to go probably 90% to painting the town hall.
You have, I know this may be silly questions, you have quotes for that yet?
So we do, we talked to the group that's painting, we have received no estimates, okay? They're painting the town hall in Milford now, and what was supposed to be a $50,000 job turned into a $90,000 job. And theirs is not in the scraping condition of theirs is not half as bad as ours is. So that's part of our concern.
Is there where are we getting the money from?
Free cash.
The Community Preservation Fund can't pay for that?
Can't be used for maintenance.
Well, it all depends on where we're restoring it.
We already tried that with Ann, and she says it won't fly. So,
Well, then I recommend we vinyl side the building and then we'll stop painting it.
Could we vinyl side the building?
Of course you can.
Is it historic? That's not a problem.
Well, again, if we're gonna restore it, CPA will fund it.
Dan, you have it looks like Dan Byer has his hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Dan.
I think the issue with the paint was that we already did use CPA to paint it. And so now doing it again would be considered maintenance versus restoration. The problem is there's a preservation restriction on the building, or maybe the benefit. So we can't just vinyl side it. We have to get permission from the state. Everything we do has to match all the historic guidelines.
So in other words, vinyl siding isn't an option because of what we've done in the past. So we have to, we're supposed to restore it unless she gives us permission to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would think we should at least have the knowledge of how much it is, or if it's possible to vinyl side it versus painting every.
We can't vinyl side the town hall. We have to try, because of the restriction on it, we can't even change the exterior of the building without getting prior authorization from the state, meaning we're trying to install 2 additional awnings over the 2 side doors in order to redirect people off of the street. And that conversation already with changing the focal point of the building is already a problem, because it changes the historic nature of what it used to look like.
So we've asked the state if we could vinyl side it, and they said no.
We've never asked to vinyl side it, no. I mean, we got a recommended list of companies to do the restoration work on the painting, though.
I mean, 125,000 to paint the building every 6 or 7 years seems.
I don't know that it.
When was the last time we painted it? Sorry if that was already said.
Before my time.
Well, typically paint lasts 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it's been much longer than that.
Yeah, I've been here for 7, so yeah. Dan says 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, I would lean more towards the 20-year number. Not that it really matters, but I would lean towards the 20-year number.
For painting?
Yeah.
Not in New England.
Did you
Well,
see
that's why
the
it looks the way it does,
condition of
right?
it?
Is painting the answer? Did we get an estimate? Are there any boards that gotta be replaced? If it hasn't been painted in that long, there's gotta be some rotten wood up there.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I just hate to see throwing money at something that doesn't fix it.
So it sounds like the issue really is if we don't want to do paint, and is there some other process, whether it's that Rhino Shield or something we can do that would be a permanent repair that would not violate the historical nature of the building? Does that make sense?
Yes, this is Nick. I mean, I think we have a brand new police station, and then we have the town hall that looks like it's falling down. And, you know, I think we need to address it in some way, shape, or form. It is, as I look at the town hall, looks like an embarrassment from the outside.
Yeah, it is an embarrassment from the outside.
So, I mean, I don't know what the solution is and what the requirements are based on what we've done in the past, but I think we need to address it, especially as we have a brand new police station next to it. And or if this is the kind of maintenance things that we should be kind of, you know, we shouldn't be painting buildings. I know we all know this every 20 years, right? I mean, this is why it looks the way it does.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Kim, is it so it's true you don't have any estimates right now, right?
We got verbal quotes. Like I said, I talked to the company in Milford who's doing theirs now. And basically the conversation is about how the cost really depends on how much work there is in getting the existing paint off. It's not the actual putting of the paint on. And so their job was, like I said, was estimated at 50. Now it's going to end up closer to 90. When we had looked at this a couple years ago, we were saying 50 and then 75. So now my guess is, based upon the condition of ours, it's probably closer to 100.
So when they give you a quote, they don't stand by the quote?
Well, I didn't want to solicit 3 written submissions until we had a number in place for a budget.
Well, I think it should be the other way around. We should try to get an estimate on what it's gonna cost.
Right.
And we should actually have some kind of plan. Is there a written plan for what's gonna happen there at the campus, or are we shooting from the hip as we go?
Well, there's multiple plans depending on the timeline for if we receive the MVP grant for the back of the lot, where the state says the new well can be located, and then also when we get to actually move dispatch and take the building down. There's a lot of variables in place, particularly in the back in regards to drainage and the new well.
And how is that? And that's through a grant, you said?
We have tried and failed once already to get the MVP grant, which would have paid for a different type of drainage system in the back parking lots. And we did not get it last time, but we're going to try again this year to get it. We're using the money that we have set aside as a match.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jack. Just a question, and perhaps, Mike, with, your building experience, or for that matter, anybody who's got some building experience here. I agree with everyone's sentiments here that the maintenance has to be done on the building. The siding has to be fixed. I think the only question that is for us, though, is really, is this the sort of the best avenue from a financial perspective, as opposed to spending perhaps more money to do it once, as opposed to having a recurring expense sort of every 7 to 10 years. And I'm just wondering if a possible solution may be, I know there's this material, hardy board that basically is cement board. It has the look of clapboard. So from a distance, there's no way that you could tell that it's not smooth clapboard unless you were like right on top of it. And it's made of concrete. It's made of cement. So I wonder if that's at least something to be considered here, as opposed to constantly applying paint to a surface like that. We're going to be dealing with scraping and painting all over again.
Well, I know that we've discussed other historical buildings in town, and the challenge is that hardy board is different than vinyl siding from that respect. Dan Byer, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to unmute. I don't know, maybe Kim has more. I'm trying to find the preservation restriction. I think it's real restrictive. I think, like you were about to say, I think we have to use period materials. Because I know, like, we can't replace trim with AZAC even.
My understanding was that, we have to keep clapboards on the building, but obviously, the paint that we use now is not the same paint that was used when the building was built in the 1800s, right? So again, my understanding is that we probably could find, like I've heard this Rhino Shield. I know somebody who used it. Is a coating that you could put over it. Supposedly will seal it, and it's got a guarantee, and you'll never have to paint it again. But again, the question is, is that going to cost more than 125, or can we get it done for 125? The point is, I think it says in the article, transfer 125,000 from free cash to do the town hall painting and lot improvements or any other action in relation to. So it's fair to say that we're going to have to spend this money to restore the town hall. We may argue with how we have to restore it, but I don't think there's any way we get around spending this money to maintain it. And the only issue is, if there's a grant that comes up in the meantime, obviously we don't have to spend it. But if there isn't a grant or some other way, then we need to restore the town hall, because again, especially if you've gone in person to pay your taxes and you've walked up that ramp and walked by the paint, the clapboards that have, it's embarrassing. But
Well,
again, we could put this with a dead horse, but I think we already have twice. But
my recommendation is, I'm gonna throw something out here. I'm also gonna say, I'm not gonna support any money being spent on it until some type of plan has been decided on to finish the rest of that town hall and campus. Let's get it over with and done, because it's gonna nickel and dime us for the next 10 to 15 years. So I think we go forward and force the select board into coming up with a plan to finish the campus there.
I agree, but in order for them to do it, we have to fund it. And this is our opportunity. I guess
Well, it's hard to fund anything, Mike, if you don't have some estimates and a plan to match it up to. And I think that's what's going to be hard to convince people to spend money
So what
there.
I was going to say, Mike, is if we don't recommend it now, the next opportunity will be in the fall, right? So, does anybody want to make a motion to recommend Article 19?
Mike, I have one question. You
Yes.
said if we don't recommend any money now, it couldn't be recommended until the fall. There couldn't be a special article between there when there was more information gathered?
Again, the only way we can appropriate money to spend it is at an annual town meeting or a special town meeting. So we have our annual town meeting to be done now.
Right.
Anything that we don't, anything left in free cash, at the end of the fiscal year, which of course is June 30th, goes into the, it will go into the general fund, and then sometime in the fall, it will be certified. That's normally what would happen. So, we always schedule a special town meeting in the fall, but again, depending on, the scenario, realistically, it's not going to get done for another year. And again, I say this, recommending the 125 now only means that we could do something with it between now and the end of the fiscal year. If we don't recommend it, then we can't do anything until, we'd have to move it into the next fiscal year and appropriate it, in the fall, but it probably wouldn't get done until the spring then.
And if we were to approve this now, it could be, if we looked at, say, alternative like that ceramic paint, like you mentioned, the Rhino Shield, or other particular kind of siding like Jack mentioned, right? Lock us into a particular solution, just appropriates the money to solve it.
Well, again, if we recommend the money for this purpose, it doesn't have to be spent until until they've decided how to do it. And of course, as Mike's saying, you're asking us to appropriate money before you know how you're going to spend it. I don't think that's exactly true. I mean, clearly the money's being appropriated to paint the town hall, and it says to take care of lot improvements. My understanding was that there was already a plan in place, and at one point the building committee told us that there was no further money going to be appropriated for this because it was going to be available from other sources, and it's not.
This is about the well. This is about the well, not about the police station.
Well, no, it's about. It says here. It says
The lot improvements in the back. So the MVP grant would change the type of pavement. We would no longer pave the back. We would have put rocks in the back for drainage, which would be better for when we try to move the well closer to the edge of the property line in the back, if we can get approval and not have to buffer it onto the land next door and get an easement.
But didn't we already appropriate money to fix the well?
Yeah, 50,000 to fix the well. Nothing to move it to where we're going. Hopefully, if the state approves, that's the best case scenario. The next case scenario is a couple $100,000 to buy an easement to have the well on someone else's property.
So so it says 125 for town hall painting and lot improvements, but so what you really mean is it's town hall painting and to relocate the well?
It would be to make sure that, if they approve the relocation, we're going to have to do lot improvements in the back. So before the well was being moved into the property, the design, as it was with the police station, was asphalt and regular paving through the back, and then we were going to come up with some of money in order to pave the back and put a gazebo in. The MVP grant, if we would have got it last year, someone else will have to tell me. I keep wanting to say green, but I don't know what the term is. It provides, we change the materials, and it would provide more of a gravelly type of runoff in the back for the lot, so that'd be more conducive for drainage and all these types of things in the back. Now, if we are going to low impact development, if we were going to continue that type of plan and that drainage with that, moving the well into that location will require some additional work, assuming that we can do that when it gets approved.
Okay.
And if that happens, that will all come together in the next, through this year.
Well, what if it doesn't come together?
Well, then we will still need to paint the town hall, but we will be coming back probably in the fall or next spring to go and take a couple 100,000 from stabilization.
A couple 100,000 in addition to this 125?
Yes, if we have to purchase an easement from a neighbor's property in order to secure a location for a new well, yes. Potentially, if we can't get an easement.
Excuse me, you say that like stabilization is easy to get money out of. I want to remind everybody that it's not easy to take money out of stabilization.
Well, you know what, Mike, I think if it's a good reason, I think we can get 2/3, but again, my understanding was that, are you saying now that we have to move the well?
Yes, the well definitely cannot stay where it's located under the town hall. That's a fact.
So the money that, the $50,000 was appropriated to fix the well,
Yep.
is not gonna be spent.
And we've spent a little bit of it. I could ask Dan, not that much. We've had them come out. The recommendation from the engineering company that came out is to move the well onto an adjacent piece of property that the town doesn't currently own, to be outside of the buffer. But we are trying to plead our case to the state and potentially get it moved onto the back of the property, sort of where the parking lot would have continued for the police station, and hope that they give us a waiver. And that's the best case scenario.
Okay, well, it seems to me that we're pretty far afield of 125,000 to paint the town hall and do lot improvements.
Yeah, I'm guessing it, like I said, I'm guessing it's about 100 to do the town hall, and I'm guessing it's probably, I was figuring just if we're having to do the gravel and add on to the money with the MVP stuff, if we're switching over that, we do have some money for the lot, but if we're doing in conjunction with the MVP, we'll probably have to get some improved materials for the location.
Okay, so here's the point. If we don't get, so I'm looking for a motion to either approve this or pass over Article 19.
Could I have one more question, Mike?
Sure.
So if we approve this and then they decide to use like a Rhino Shield, but it's 50,000 more, but it's guaranteed for life, what happens then?
Well, what would have to happen is we would have a plan in place, and then at the fall town meeting, we would take and appropriate the proper amount, because this money would not be spent. In other words, this 125 is being appropriated for town hall painting and lot improvements. If it turns out that, you know, this goes forward and it's going to be more than that, then they would have to appropriate additional money to go with this to do that.
Yeah, so again, it would go to the fall meeting, which I mean, guaranteed Rhino Shield that lasts for a lifetime is going to be more money than painting.
Right.
So,
I guess I'm sorry, Norm. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I guess I don't understand why these two things are put together. They seem to be kind of apples and oranges to me.
True.
One
Well,
is
because of the
painting
timing, the timing of them, where we're planning on hearing back on the grant, planning on doing the work this spring if the building came down, and then also determining the location of the well is currently pending. So all of the timing is sort of coming together on the layout for how that campus is going to be.
So I guess the worst case scenario is it delays the funding of any of this for another 6 months. So I'm looking for a motion to either recommend that we pass over the article or that we approve the funding, approve it as written.
I'll make a motion to pass over this article, Mike Amandalier.
Okay, do I have a second?
Norm Round, second.
And this is Nick, I second. I reluctantly second because I think it needs to be painted, but without a clear plan and understanding all the costs, it's hard to approve it, so.
All those in favor?
Jack, aye.
Norm
Mike,
Round.
aye.
Norm Round, aye.
And Heather, you're muted. but I saw you said aye. I can read your lips.
We're voting to pass over,
We're voting to pass over it, yes.
correct? So.
Yes, correct.
And again, okay. So that's Article 19. So let's go on to 20. And this is to move 200,000 free cash into stabilization. Kim, I have a question. That's the max we can do, is that right?
No, that's incorrect.
That's what's left?
Nope, we can put any amount into stabilization.
Right, but I mean, when you did all the other math, I mean, that's pretty much what was left at the time, right?
Correct. There's a little bit left over. I can't see the second sheet. I think it's about $6,000. Let me take a look. Yeah, $2,600. So, right, the $200,000 is recommended based upon the target amount. Right now, we have about 980,000 in stabilization. Our target is about 1.1 million. After we transfer this 200,000, we'd be over our target by about 120,000.
Okay. So do I have a motion to recommend Article 20?
Take 200 from where, Kim?
Free cash.
Free cash, okay.
And I will send this to you, Gene, the way it's on.
Okay.
Do I have somebody to make a motion to recommend we move 200,000 for free cash into stabilization?
Is that
So
Jack?
moved, Mike A.
Jack, I second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, aye.
Jack, I.
Mike A. Aye.
Okay, Article 21 is 100,000 to CapEx.
Correct. And that is the cap that we can put in per year, 100,000. We are woefully below our target. We have got about $200,000 in there now. Our target is about 640. So even after this transfer, we're still going to be $340,000 short in CapEx.
Okay, do I have a motion for Article 21 as written?
Jack, I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second. Heather.
Second. All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, aye.
Jack, I.
Mike I.
Okay, Article 22 is 15,000 from free cash to OPEB, other post-employment benefits, liability trust fund. And Kim, if we put a smaller amount than this in the past, right?
Yeah, some years we've put 10, some years we've put 25. Really, and it does, I mean, it seems like a small amount, but it really does count. You know, when we are going back and we're getting our bond rating, they're just looking to see that we're making an effort and that we have some practice in place. So luckily, the last 2 times we've been able to maintain our bond rating, so it hasn't affected us, even though we don't have very much in that account. We have, what, 113,000. So, you know, I think our liability is close to 5 million. So, you know, so far, you know, any little bit has been good.
All right, do I have a motion to recommend Article 22 as written?
Jack, I so move.
Do I have a second?
Heather, second.
All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Tim? Hello. I owe you a bag of potato chips.
Nick, aye.
You owe me half a bag of
Jack, I.
Well, tonight's still young.
Mike A. Nay.
I'm sorry, about 11 o'clock last.
Okay, so Mike, this is your dissenting on that, right, Mike?
That's right. Nay.
Okay. All right, so it's recommended by the majority. Okay, now, is this part of consent calendar now? Are we in the consent calendar yet, Kim?
Yes.
So this is, where do we start it? We started with, OPEB or with Article 23 here with, the 6,500 for the assessor's cycle? Well,
20,
either way, we'll go through these. So I noticed 23, 6,500 from available sources. This is what we, is that the correct, verbiage for this?
well, it should be raised and appropriate because it's a special article.
Yeah, okay. But what makes it a special article? Do we say it or just because it says raise and appropriate?
Because the way that it's listed in the budget, you recall there's a section under where we have debt listed, where we have 4 or 5 things listed that are special articles. They are included in the operating budget.
Okay. So even though but it's because it's listed that way, it's not automatically in Article 4. We also have to do it here.
Correct. We have to raise and appropriate. Yes.
Okay. So this is Article 23, and then 24 is 17,000 for the update valuation account. We do all of those. We do both of those like we do every year, and then we have 2,500, which is the money we put in for the matching grants for the town for police grants, and 26 is for the Chapter 90 money that were given for the highway. So that number is yet to be determined, but we have to vote to accept it before they'll give it to us. So I guess I'm just looking for a blanket motion for 23, 24, 25, and 26.
Jack, I so move.
Do I have a second?
Nick, second.
Okay, so Jack made the motion, Nick seconded it. Any discussion or any questions about this? All right, all those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, aye.
Jack, I.
Mike, nay.
You don't want to appropriate 6,500 for assessor cyclical inspection?
I don't think it should be all lumped together.
Well, it's not. We're not lumping them all together.
We just voted on an Article 23, 24, 25, and 26, didn't we?
Yeah, because each
Yeah,
one of them. Okay, well, we just agreed to the 4 of them by majority. So let's go to 27. I know we still have Dan Meyer on here to talk about this. This is, and 27 is I think, is 28 also the other one for you, or is that a different? Yeah.
28, I'm looking at your sheet, I believe is the thing we have to do every year for all the revolving accounts. So Parks is part of it.
Right. You're right. I didn't quite post that in there. So let's just go to 27 now, which is, you're going to walk through the revolving fund or the enterprise fund, I'm sorry, for the water department.
Yeah, do you have the motion I sent you?
Yeah.
It looks like.
You want me to pull up that motion instead?
No, it's the same thing.
I cut and pasted everything out of it and put it into this.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't know if you want me to talk about it, if there's any questions. Otherwise, let me pull it up because I can't read that. Sorry, I'm between computers here.
All right, let me see if I can pull up your
I get it. Hang on.
your article, because that's the one that
Shoot. Nope. Let me go in the other room. Hang.
that's the wrong buyer. Okay, so here's the enterprise fund motion as you sent it to me. Okay, can you read that, Dan?
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm just trying to find my account thing for water.
Dan, it's Kevin. I'm on too. It looks correct.
I mean yeah, so that's basically what we have to vote on to establish the budget for the Water Enterprise Fund.
Okay, so this
I
is
think
Article
we talked
27.
to you guys about this before with our budget, correct? I mean, there's nothing new here. The only real difference, what you see this line, Water Infrastructure Repair and Replacement Fund, what that is, that's essentially the profits from the fund. We have no intention of spending that money, but by doing this, it's available if something goes wrong and we have to repair a water main.
No, it's not profit, Dan. It's a it's the collected money from the repair fee.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of referring to
Yeah.
it. Basically, the issue is our water mains are 70 plus years old, so we've got to start planning for the future.
So what it comes down to, though, is that this money is all raised through fees from all the water users. Is that right?
100%.
Nothing in this article comes from the taxpayers. It all comes from the water users, from the 150 plus or minus customers.
And we actually pay an additional 6,000 back to the town. That's our share of town, what's called indirect costs.
What currently is in the replacement fund?
So
Dan?
You mean, what do we intend to replace?
No, what currently amount of money is in the replacement fund, or is this the initial?
That is the current amount plus the projected addition from our quarterly replacement fee for the next fiscal year. We have, just so you know, we have water meter replacements at a cost of $50,000 that we have to take care of as soon as possible. So we're not even there, but that's where this money's going. And if a water main breaks between now and then, it goes there. So, this is being built up, and the only thing we can spend it on is replacing broken mains and things like the meters.
Understand, I'm just trying to understand what is currently in the fund.
I put it in the chat. It's $29,003 is what was certified as what's called. We have our own free cash now.
That's the retained earnings, basically.
Yes.
And then adding another 6,000 or 7,000 gets you to the 31.
Got it.
All right.
So this basically they're looking for a recommendation for us to approve what they've spelled out here. Are there any other questions about this? And again, this is not taxpayer money. This is the enterprise fund, water enterprise fund. So I'd be looking for a motion to accept.
So moved, Mike Mandalia.
Do I have a second?
Jack, second.
All those in favor?
Nick, aye.
Norm,
Pepper,
aye.
aye.
Jack, aye.
Mike, aye.
Yay.
Okay, then that's, then 27 is approved. Just give me a second here while I save this is Article 27. And now we're on to Article 28, which is each of the revolving funds. Kim, did we have those numbers, those values figured out? Let me see.
They should be on the warrant.
All right, let me look one other place.
That's it. That's the one. Right there.
All right, what I'm gonna do while I'm talking to everybody here. Just give me a second.
Good job.
Okay, so now we have Article 28. These are the spending limits. Now, Kim, you're still here, Kim, right?
Yes?
Okay. If you remember last year, we thought we were missing one of them. That was it the Parks one? These are all the ones we need to approve, right?
That was Title V.
Okay. So we have that one here. So Article 28 is we need to set the spending limits on each one of the revolving funds. So can you just explain to everybody exactly what that means? My understanding is that whatever is in the revolving fund, we're in each of the different entities that are responsible for using this money, which basically stays in there from year to year. But during the fiscal year, they cannot, for instance, library can't spend more than 6,000 out of the library fund. Planning board can't spend more than 30. Highway can't spend more than 25. Conservation Commission can't spend more than 25. Parks can't spend more than 150. Fire Department can't spend more than 10,000, and Title V, which again is the Board of Health, can't spend more than 25,000 out of it. So again, it's one of these consent calendar ones that these are set. But I'm looking for a motion to approve this article, recommend this article as written.
Mike A., so moved.
Do I have a second?
Jack, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Nick, aye.
Norm, I.
Jack, aye.
You know, Mama.
Mike, aye.
Okay,
Heather, aye.
all right, so that's 28. Now, 29, 30, 31, 32, and let's see. Yeah, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 are all CPC articles. And these are
Anybody
ones.
want a purple peep? I have purple peeps. No?
I can tell you that that's disgusting.
They're all CPC.
That would make my blood sugar go up. I go in a coma. Maybe like.
They're good.
Okay, so Article 29. Again, this is the one where they set the buckets based on the numbers that you will see from Ann. She gave me these numbers: 67,370 from community preservation, open space, historic preservation, affordable housing, 5%, which is 33,685 for administration, and then 65%, which is 437,907 to community preservation budgeted reserve. And again, just to refresh your memory, these numbers are a combination of the 3% surcharge that we tack on to everybody's property taxes, plus the matching money that the state provides. So those are the numbers. So that would be Article 29. I'd be looking for a motion to approve that article as a CPC is going to make it.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah,
can I just add a comment on this article?
sure.
And I apologize, maybe this was told you before, I'm not sure if you met with Ann. So this normally gets voted at the special town meeting in November, but when we canceled the meeting and cut everything out, and then we had to have it, because I guess they need this number for the tax rate, we talked to the accountant and they advised that this should actually get done at the annual town meeting. So that's why that's here now, and going forwards, this will be on the annual, because apparently that's a more appropriate way to do this.
Right.
Just so you're aware.
Yeah, that's why we're well, right. Even though all the other ones we kicked the can down the road, so to speak, from the special to the annual. This is the one thing that we, that meeting was actually you, me, Monty Tinio, the moderator, and the town clerk. And the only thing we did that night was we voted this, but for the last fiscal year. So this is in anticipation of what's going to happen for monies that they've come up with now. So again, I'd be looking for a motion to recommend what CPA is going to recommend here.
So moved.
Second.
Mike made, do I have a second?
Second. Heather.
Has a second. All right, all those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, I.
Jack, aye.
Ike, aye.
Thank you. So Article 30, this is the $20,000 that we spend each year that they use to pay for the Affordable Housing Coordinator, Bill McHenry. It's the same as it's been every other year as I can recall. I'm looking for a motion for Article 30.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, who did that?
Heather.
And who else?
Nick, I. How's that?
So Heather made the motion and Nick seconded it, I think.
Nick?
Correct.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Jack, aye.
Heather, I.
Mike, aye.
Nick, I.
Norm, I.
All right, so that's 30. Now, 31 is 80,356, and also 80,356 from community, and then 21,699 from the budgeted reserve, all to pay for part of the police station debt exclusion. So if you remember, when we built the police station, there was a certain amount that we were able to use from community preservation dollars to pay for part of the police station. And this is the $102,055, and they're taking it from the community historical preservation account and from the budgeted reserve for the overage. So again, this is money that is essentially already spent, but we have to approve it. So I'm looking for a recommendation to approve Article 31.
Jack, I so move.
Do I have a second?
Heather, second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Jack, aye.
Nick, I.
Mike A. abstain. I sat on the building committee.
Norm, I.
Is that I think that's everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay. Article 32 and is community preservation open space. 71,591 and then 21,109 from budgeted reserve. And this is to pay off the Pheno property. It's 92,700. And actually, this is, I believe, the last year. So now we actually own it. But it would be, again, a total of 92,700 from open space and budgeted reserve for the Pheno debt exclusion. I'll be looking for to approve CPC's Article 32.
So moved.
Jack,
So
second.
Mike approved, Jack second. All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, I.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Article 33. So this is, as you can see, she's got written here, 10,868 from Old Cemetery Repairs account, 40,000 from Community Preservation Budget Reserve account. And this is to improve the sites at Bignell Cemetery on Hartford Ave East, George Cemetery on George Street, Old Town Cemetery on Main Street, Locust Hill Cemetery on North Ave, and Swandale Cemetery on Hartford Ave East, to repair the entry gates, improve drainage, reset small stones, remove dead tree and limbs, purchase some conservative approved biological solvents for restoration work, repair the historic stone walls, and other restoration activities. Do I have a motion to approve this?
So moved. Mike A.
Thanks, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second, Heather.
Okay, and those who didn't make the motion or second it, can you just vote to approve this or not?
Jack,
Okay. Norm, I.
Jack, I.
Nick, I.
Thank you. Okay. Article 34, community preservation, 10,000 from budgeted reserve to fund drainage and site improvements at Mendon Beach. Dan, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yep. There we go. So I think we had talked about this before. We have major drainage problems at the beach. So we went out, we got money previously to have actual engineering plans drawn up. Those have now mostly been completed. So now this money would be to do the work, which is going to involve installing a curbing along Taft Ave, installing additional catch basins, tying into the storm drains, basically trying to get all the water from the road and put it in the catch basins as opposed to having it come down and wash out the beach.
Okay. And $10,000, do you have a more exact amount?
So what's happening here, Alan Tatro has actually been looking at this, and it sounds like he's going to be able to do a lot of this work in-house. There've been some discussions with the fire chief. They're trying to figure out a way to get better access down that cart path, access path into the lake for fire department. So I know he was speaking to somebody and getting pricing, but it sounds like we may just have to pay for materials on this, and they're going to be willing to do the work.
So this is up to 10,000 for materials.
Well, yes, and I think if there's some money left, we may start working. The other issue is the landscaping at the beach itself. That may end up being a third phase of the project. If it turns out we can use some of this to bring in some sand, we might be able to get that done. But I think this at least covers what needs to get done. We got to buy drainage pipe, I think, is the big thing, and pay for the paving.
And that would be the site improvement part of this article.
Correct.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions for Dan about this? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Amanda,
Jack.
Jack, second it. How about everybody else?
Norm, I.
Heather, I.
Nick, I.
Jack, I.
Thank you. So now the next one, 37, this is the Land Use Committee. This is actually $600 that's going to be put back into the land bank because they didn't use it all to do the surveying at 79 Millville Street. So I just need a motion to approve a recommendation to put the money back into the Mendon Land Bank.
So moved.
Okay.
Second, Jack.
So Mike Mandalia made the motion. Jack seconded. Everybody else?
Norm, I.
Heather, I.
Nick, I.
Okay, thank you. 38 is $5,000 from budgeted reserve to historical documents held by the Mendon Historical Society. Do I have a motion to recommend this article?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Heather.
Thank you. Everybody else?
Norm, I.
Nick, I.
Jack, abstain. I'm a member of the Historical Society.
Okay. Just for the record, if you are a member and you believe that you can make a recommendation without it being an ethical issue, you're allowed to do so. But I appreciate the fact that you want to abstain. Okay, so 39, 38's approved, 39. $3,000 from the land bank to survey and mark the borders of Inman Hill Wildlife Conservation Area along the borders of multiple private lots on Inman Hill Road that border the town-owned land. So do I have a motion to approve $3,000 for surveying? Mike made the motion. Do I have a second?
Heather, second.
Thanks. And how about the other three wise guys?
Norm, I.
Jack, I.
Nick, I.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. Article 40, $2,000 from the land bank to survey and mark the borders along private lots of George Street that above the town-owned Gaskell Meadows Conservation Area at 32 George Street.
So moved.
Heather, second.
So Mike and Heather made the motion, seconded, and the other three gentlemen?
Norm, I.
Jack, I.
Nick, I.
Okay, so just to recap, just so we're on the same page, we're going to talk about Article, and correct me if I'm wrong, Article 4 is the budget. We're going to have a meeting Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday at this point because we have the hearing on Wednesday. So Article 4 and Article 15, which is the budget and the 2.5 override. And then the other issue was Article 17, we have voted to pass over. We don't want to spend the money on the, we don't want to recommend that they spend the money on the truck. And then the other one is to pass over Article 19 about town hall painting and site improvements. Is that correct? Is that everybody's collective understanding of what we did?
This is
Yes.
that's I believe that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. So that's basically our recommendations for the article, for the money articles for the town meeting. Moving on to other business, I believe, Jean, you sent me a couple of
Minutes. I sent everybody the minutes for March 17th and March 31st.
okay, so here are the minutes for March 31st. This was last week.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written for Wednesday, March 17th, 2021.
I think this is March 31st right now. I took them out of order, Mike.
Oh. Okay. I'll change that motion to reflect on March 31st.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Heather, I.
Jack, aye.
Norm, I.
Nick, I.
Thank you. Now let me pull up the 17th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written for Wednesday, March 17th, 2021.
Do I have a second?
Jack, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Heather, I.
Norm, I.
Nick, I.
Jack, aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Mike, can you send me that document that we worked on tonight
Yes,
with all the numbers?
yes. All right, does anybody have anything else? Any other business?
I had a question, Mike. The two, Alan's two large capital purchases, I guess, those are in his operating budget or somebody's operating budget?
Yes, those would be
Okay.
within Article 4 that we'll discuss
Okay,
when we do this next week. And again, what I will do is watch your emails. I will send you the Excel spreadsheet so everybody can review it ahead of time. Because again, we're going to have the hearing on Wednesday, and I do have a question. I see that there are other committees that have actually had kind of a hybrid meeting where they've actually met in town hall, socially distanced, and it's been in public. You have an option. What's the committee's pleasure? We can continue to do it in this fashion, and let anybody that come in that wants to, or we can do it in the town hall. I mean, normally I would say we would still keep it remote, but I just want to throw that out there if anybody is interested in coming back into town hall.
This is Nick. I would vote for a continued remote until I'm fully vaccinated and or the town hall's painted. First.
Wow, we'll have to get that one approved through the legislature, I think. That's pretty good.
Mr. Chair, this is Jack. I agree with Nick's sentiments. I'd prefer the remote until the vaccinations are completed.
Right. Then we'll leave it at that. And I will, if for some reason there's a conflict, but right now let's plan on 7 o'clock next Tuesday. And you send something to the town clerk about that, post for the meeting.
I'll post it.
All right, thank you. All right, everybody, have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Motion to
Take care.
adjourn.
All right, good night.
Second.